In this video, you will learn about buymysku.com marketplace where you can buy or sell physical products in bulk. So this is very useful for Amazon sellers who are looking to get rid of some of their products. And in the past, they could destroy or liquidate these products, but now you could list your products on BuyMySku platform, and potentially you could get some cash in exchange of the product which you don't need anymore in your business. My guest today is Sophie Howard. She's one of the co-founders of buymysku.com, and you will find the link below to this platform if you want to try it. The pricing is really convenient. It's a flat fee for listing your item until it is sold. And if you like the content like this, don't forget to click like button below this video and subscribe to our channel. Hello Sophie, it's nice to have you here back on our YouTube channel. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us how do you help Amazon sellers?
Hi, Augustus. Lovely to see you again, and thank you very much for having me back. So my name's Sophie Howard, and I am one of those people who's been floating around all things Amazon for a few years, and all of us Amazon sellers who've been in since the early days. I was ASM 3 back in 2013. We've all had such different journeys and experiences and highs and lows and challenges and big breakthroughs. So it's always really nice to be part of a community like this where people are sharing what they're dealing with and what they're learning and what's working and what not to do. And so just in a short version, my experience has mostly been good. I've had some really great brands. I've sold a big business for over $1 million that I started. I've done quite different types of products and very different philosophy around the sourcing. So that's kind of my main thing that I've focused on, is really the quality of the product and that being really unique. And then I've been rubbish at things like pay-per-click ads. I'm your worst person. I don't even teach my own students how to do basic advertising. Don't do any launches. We stick to our strengths. So I've found that I naturally find choosing good products relatively easy. I'm not very data driven, unlike some people who are 100% analysts. So with that background, I've somehow managed to pick some good products and keep this thing rolling, and done pretty well over the years with it. And a lot of people have asked me to help them choose products. And so that's been really interesting, just seeing how people think differently. You can give a whole bunch of people the same Amazon platform, all the same data, and even teach a process or a strategy, and everyone just goes different directions and think so differently and have different risk profiles or different budgets or backgrounds. So it's endlessly interesting, and that makes it a really great topic for your show and for podcasts and all these conferences that currently I can't get to because I'm locked in New Zealand. But it's just been a fascinating industry to be part of. So the problem that I've seen people face, and it's a really common one, and you can do everything right and still have this problem, and it's around having some surplus inventory. So it could be that you've had some, you've done everything right with your product research. It would score a perfect 10 on your assessment, on all your criteria, all the due diligence, all the number crunching. You've done everything right. And for some reason, that product just doesn't work out as you hoped and as you planned for. So there's quite a big problem with stock that doesn't move fast enough, or stock that stops moving at all, and what to do with it, because Amazon isn't kind to you when your stock's not selling. Those fees go through the roof after a while. But even at the best of times, those storage fees are high. So although a lot of Amazon sellers are a bit naive with their numbers, we all know how much those storage fees cost every month for every square foot of product we've got sitting there. We see it on our little dashboards, the FBA fees, and of that, how much is storage. And when we look on a tool like Helium 10, we can see the estimated storage costs of a product. It's a real and it's a hard cost in our business. So we need the product selling to make profit, but not only do we need to make profit, we need to avoid this big cost of storage. And there are some quite fiddly things you can do. You can shuffle stuff in and out of 3PL warehouses, and there's some clever software to help you track your inventory. So that's one way. It's like better storage solutions for the inventory you've got. That's great. But the thing I want to help you with today is, if you've got a product you just want to get rid of, you've either got a better product and you just want to get some cash back from a slower one, or maybe The competition's come in really strong just as you launched. It wasn't there when you did your research. The prices have bottomed out. It's never going to be profitable. And it's almost a liability to hold on to it. You want to get rid of that stuff fast. There's no positive outcome for you here. You don't want to advertise harder. You don't want to relaunch. You don't want to do more giveaways to get ranked. You just want it gone. There's just kind of bad money after good. After a stage, you know, with some products, there is no way to get that product selling profitably on Amazon with the current storage fees. And so you want to get rid of it. And the solution is buymysku.com. So this is a very simple website that we've put together for Amazon sellers. So although it's a marketplace, a platform for people to buy and sell inventory, we've really started with the sellers because that's who we all are, the three founders. And we've all done everything right and had, you know, great products, but also some products we just want to sell quickly and cheaply to clear the inventory space, or to focus on another product, or to get some cash back, or just to, you know, move it on to focus on something else. Maybe we're selling the whole business, but there's some brands or SKUs that aren't included. So there's a whole range of reasons why you might want to sell some inventory, but not selling it as individual items through Amazon, just selling the bulk of your stock. So selling your stock for cash, surplus stock. So it might be sitting in the Amazon warehouse. It might be somewhere with your supplier, somewhere it might be in transit. It might be in a 3PL. It might be at your own home. Wherever it is, you can list it on this website and buyers can come along and see what they think it's worth to them. And there's a lot of people who might value that stock more highly than you, or you're maybe willing to sell it at a good discount because you need that storage space back, or you need to get some cash back for something else, or you're moving on to another project or product to focus on. So I'll talk through some of these different scenarios in my slides. So I'll pop those on now. So buymysku.com, it's the #1 marketplace to buy and sell Amazon ready SKUs. So it was founded by three of us who are all private label Amazon sellers in Australia and New Zealand. I'm in New Zealand, and one of the others, Chris Wood, is another New Zealander but living in Australia. And he's got a great background with Amazon products and software companies. And Craig Anderson is another Australian based in Perth, and he's an accountant and an Amazon seller, and really good guys. So when we talked about this idea, we could see that there wasn't anything quite out there that solves this problem, and we came up with some ways to solve it. So if you've ever had an Amazon product that doesn't do what you wanted it to do and you want it moved on, this is a platform you need to know about. So we make it really easy for the seller to list their product. And some products might be really profitable, really good products, and they're on an absolute high, and someone will come along and buy them for an absolute premium. This isn't just about discounted stock that's underperforming. It could be products that are performing just fine, but you're happy to take the cash and get out of them and focus on another thing, or you just take the win and sell up while you're on a high. We'll talk about more examples as I take you through these slides. I think there's only 10 or 12. It's not going to be lots of slides, but it'll help me stay on track and remember all the things I meant to tell you about buymysku.com. So we all want to win on Amazon. We turn up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, full of training courses and motivation. And then what happens is we do some product research and we waver and overanalyze the first product and freak out, and then eventually pick something. And sometimes we're off to a great start, it all works. Sometimes it underperforms. Sometimes we've done something horribly wrong and learned a horrible lesson. But we all have a different experience with finding that first product and then subsequent ones. And we maybe fall into sort of patterns of, oh, I like that supplier, I'll get more different things from them. Or this niche or this category really suits me, I like it, I can see related products. So we kind of start, then we kind of follow our noses. And over a while, we might have a bunch of different products selling. I think I've launched well over 1,000 products now, private labeled on Amazon. And I can safely say that not all of them have been rock stars. My first one was, which was very fortunate and gave me a bit of a confidence boost and a good budget to play around with the next lot. But I've had some that there was some compliance thing. I've had some life jackets once that I tried to send by air, and they had some hydrostatic thing and I couldn't send them, and there weren't enough to send by sea. So I had to decide, do I send lots more or just abandon it? I've had all sorts of issues with all sorts of products over the years. I've had a tea business where an ingredient that was allowed at Amazon.com, the FBA approved that product with those herbal ingredients in the States, but it wasn't allowed in Europe because they have a different name for that herb on the packaging. So the name of whatever it was, milk thistle, is called something else in the UK. And so we've all, over time, we're bound to run into a tricky product. So those are the kind of the dogs. The cash cows are just those steady ones. They do exactly what they were meant to. You did your research. They look like they'd be quite profitable. They work out to be quite profitable. There's no dramas. They're not superstars. They're just, you know, over a portfolio, you'll generally have, if you've got 10 products, maybe, hopefully 8 cash cows, you're bound to get 1 dog, and 1 star would be pretty typical. And even with lots of experience, nobody has 100% strike rate with winning products. If anyone tells you that, they're lying, because there's just a certain amount of things beyond your control in the supply chain, on the platform, in the economy, political, pandemic. You know, there's things that will happen in the course of your business life where things change from plan A and you're on to plan B. And we all have plan B moments in our businesses. And we will all have plan B products. And it doesn't mean that they're bad products. It might be a really high quality product. It might be in really hot demand, but there's just something that's not quite flowing right with it, where you're not going to get easy profits. And for whatever reason, you want to switch path. So there's a few reasons. So one could be there's some kind of issue with the product and how it's been manufactured or prepared or labeled or packaged or something. So for an example, just to give you like something you can picture as we walk through these slides. Say you've started selling socks and you had red socks and blue socks in 3 different sizes, but your suppliers put some of the stickers on the wrong color and on the wrong size. The socks are great. People who get the right size and color love their socks, but the people who get the wrong color and the wrong size leave a horrible review. I did not get these socks I wanted, and Granny's birthday was ruined, and you know, all these things that can happen on the customer side with a perfectly good product, but a labeling issue or the packaging got damaged or something. You did everything right, but something in the supply chain got a bit messed up somehow. Now, if you live in the United States and you have a garage, you might ship all the products out to yourself and spend a weekend checking the packaging and stickers and send them back in. And that would be totally worthwhile for you to do if you've got a product that's selling well with great margins, but just a bit of a sticker labeling issue. However, if I'm here in New Zealand, there's no way I can make the economics of removal orders, a commercial facility, inspecting, relabeling, setting up new shipments, shipping them back in. It just wouldn't make, the numbers wouldn't make sense. I'd be better just to ditch that shipment and start again with somebody whose job it was to do the stickers properly. So for a few 100 units, I might be prepared just to write them off. I want them out my account because it could really jeopardize my whole Amazon account if I keep getting bad reviews and unhappy customers. So I want that listing closed and gone until the problem's fixed, or at least paused, or at least all the stock taken out. So this is where Buy My SKU could be an example. This is an example where Buy My SKU could help you as a seller with a labeling issue. You could just create a listing, 100 pairs of mixed socks, known sticker labeling issue. Here's some photographs of what they all look like. Here are the reviews of the people who get the right ones. Here's obviously a screenshot of where there's been a mix up on stickers. You know, $50 reserve, come and bid, come and get them. Whoever wins them can relabel them and on-sell them. And then you might agree to a non-compete not to keep selling them against that person who's just bought your surplus stock. So that's one example, something like that. You've done everything right, the product's right, there was a mistake. It's too expensive for you to fix, but somebody local or somebody with different facilities, or someone who might sell them FBM or sell them at a farmer's market or sell them in bulk on eBay for more than they buy them from you. You've got some urgency. You know, Amazon's a big game for serious sellers, but there's plenty of people who love all that online arbitrage, retail arbitrage. They are happy to muck around with single listings on eBay and all the postage and all the communication with customers that we don't need to deal with when we're trying to scale up as private label sellers. So there's people in all sorts of different ages and stages of business who would be really happy to pick up some discounted stock to on sell, either to learn with or to get some practice, or to make a little bit of profit, or they might back themselves and think they can make a lot of profit. So that's one kind of example. The other is if you've done everything right, you've chosen a beautiful product, the research looked great, $10 profit per unit, wonderful, off we go, place an order, day you launch, another factory who clearly makes this stuff is selling it at cost. You're running at a loss just to compete with them, never mind, beat them. So there's times where the market's changed. Maybe there's more competition. You've all done a good job of your product, but the keyword that you're all going after is absolutely swamped with 500 quality offerings that are relevant for that keyword. And other people might be doing big hardcore launches or bigger budgets, or even just a higher priced product, meaning they've got more dollars to spend per click on that PPC than would make financial sense for you to bid. If it's a tent peg versus a tent or something, you've got a big range in prices around a keyword like that and the amount you'd be willing to pay for a click on an ad. So in the competition situation where you've got somebody that comes in, you don't want to spend more money. You've got options, right? You've got some stock sitting there. You like the product, people like the product, but there's just too many other people to get past, to get spotted and get bought. So you can advertise harder. You can drop your price. You can do another launch and try and get to the top of page one. You could do some free gift and do some complicated thing. You could do a coupon code, buy 2, get 1 free. But all these things are kind of just bad money after good, or good money after bad. I'm never quite sure which way around that saying's meant to go. But, you've done everything right, but now you're just being silly. You're spending money where you're never going to get it back. And it's a bit of a trap. We've made an investment. We've got a sunk cost. And if you ever ask economists for some of the biggest mistakes that people make in business or decision-making in politics, it's this sunk cost thing. You've already spent the money, but it doesn't mean that it makes sense to keep on spending money if it's a bad direction to be heading in. But we're really reluctant to let go of our dreams and our plan A. So that can be a trap. But if you have got a product, it's going to only ever sell at a loss at best. You might as well list it on Buy My SKU at a break-even price, sell it for the price you paid it for. Maybe somebody selling it fulfilled by merchant rather than FBA. The numbers work just to give them a bit of profit that's of interest to them, but wouldn't be profitable to you doing FBA. So that's another one. Compliance can be another example of where you thought you've done something right. You've got a great looking product and it lands at customs or it lands in at Amazon and they go, oh, you're not allowed that ingredient, not here. Or they say, show me the certificate that does not exist. Or they say, didn't you know about our policy? So there's legal stuff, FDA type legal stuff, or customer safety, like electrical standards, leads in paints for babies, all those legal mandated things that come from the government down. Then Amazon has its own little mysterious world where they won't tell you anything, which is very frustrating. This is where this mostly happens. Amazon has a blacklisted product or a blacklisted factory, and you don't know until you're turning up with that product for sale and they go, you can't sell that. Why not? It's got an ingredient you're not allowed. And I saw something in a Facebook group this week, somebody's selling a cushion and they've had it delisted because Amazon told them it was a pesticide. I mean, the pesticide loop's been horrible for a lot of people. And the product might have nothing to do with pesticides. Amazon's little robots have just incorrectly tagged that product as a pesticide and you're in the doghouse. You can't prove yourself right. It's just this loop of death, trying to fight with Amazon about how a cushion's not a pesticide and they won't really understand. And it's very, very frustrating. There's a point where if you've got 50 cushions, you'd rather take $50 and not have to write 50 emails about how cushions aren't pesticides to Amazon. So it could be something like that, an Amazon policy, a customs thing, a change of government rules. I used to sell some baby carrier wrap things and they were a really good product. I got them from India. They were these lovely organic cotton, slightly hippie-ish things that people would carry their babies around in. And I bought them for about $4 or $5 and sold them for $50. They were great. Sold thousands and thousands of these baby carrier wrap things. I think I was the first person to do a private label brand of those on Amazon. And one day I got a letter from a lady in the UK because I was selling them on Amazon and in the UK and all through Europe. And the lady just emailed me. She wasn't a customer, but she'd seen my listing on Amazon. She sent me a message through the Amazon messaging thing saying, do you realize there's a standard for safety for this kind of product? You need a certificate for this. And Amazon had never asked for one. I'd never come across any standard certificate for it. It was just like a long strip of stretchy cotton, really. It wasn't like a medical device or anything like that. There were no ingredients. It wasn't a choking hazard. It was like a safe product. But I think there'd been a few cases where mothers had smothered their babies carrying them too close and hot or something. So anyway, it was a bit of a political thing. There were lots of news stories about them. I just dropped them. Buy My SKU didn't exist, so I think I just paid to have them destroyed. There was nowhere to send them. I didn't want to store them somewhere. I didn't know any friends who wanted 200 baby carriers. If I had somebody, if I'd put those on Buy My SKU, someone might have happily sold them at a farmer's market or sold them in bulk or sold them to a gift shop, someone else who's happy to do the paperwork and compliance. But not for me. I need to sleep well at night. So anything stressful is out of my camp. And so those products look good, but didn't work on Amazon because of a compliance thing. I didn't even get in trouble. It was just like the feeling trouble could be coming. Another one is the numbers on the product work. The market's great, demand's there, the pricing's high, but the blooming shipping quadruples because of a pandemic, or it's too slow to do by sea, so you have to do by air for a couple of shipments, and suddenly you're running at a loss and you just need that product gone. Or maybe there's another change beyond your control as well. Maybe your supplier shuts down, or they start selling the product themselves. They see that you're exporting a container load a week and get a whiff of the good stuff and go, right, this one's onto something. Let's try and figure out Amazon ourselves. And, 2 days with a consultant and copy your listing. And if you've got an unscrupulous supplier, or even Amazon might come along and copy your product. So if you're listening to this and you're a brand new seller, I'm really sorry. I've just probably terrified you of all the things that can go wrong, even when you've done everything right. But this is reality. This is a real business. There's risk with every product. We do everything we can to minimize the risk. But after a certain level of launching lots of products, you're going to run into one of these sorts of issues. The only nice thing about it, or good thing, is that none of these are your fault. It's completely normal. It would be weird if these things didn't catch you out from time to time. And it's all the more reason not to overextend yourself as you go into this type of business. But none of these are within your control. There's no way you can control every step within a factory. You can ask for it. You can have an inspection. There's a point where you just have to do business and get on with what you do and let them do what they do. And occasionally there'll be a mistake eventually, or a quality thing, knowingly or unknowingly. The competition, you can do everything right, but the world changes over those couple of months while it's in production and being shipped. Or over time, people just spot you doing well and start copying or creeping in on your keywords. The compliance, you can do a certain amount of checking rules and regulations there, but they can change, or there's some that aren't written down. Amazon has so many unwritten rules until you bump into one that you wouldn't know about. Shipping, completely beyond your control, and suppliers making their own decisions, completely beyond your control. So in business, it's very helpful if you're the kind of person who doesn't freak out and get mega stressed when this stuff happens. You see it as part of the process. You just now need to make a very level-headed decision about what to do. So it's totally normal. You've not done anything wrong. It's totally to be expected. If you haven't taken a bit of risk on your products, you're probably just doing something wrong, or I don't know. I've never met anyone who's not, I've never found a perfect product. Every single product, there's a bit of a trade-off: demand, competition, profit, volume. There's all these things to weigh up to get a product that's good enough to hit go on. And sometimes you're just going to be slightly on the wrong side of what's good enough. So you've got options when this happens. And I've talked about some of them as we went through the examples. You could remove them and get them sent to your own home and fix up any problems yourself, or try and sell them privately. You could destroy them, just pay Amazon to blow them up, or whatever they do, actually resell them themselves. Is what they actually do. Bit naughty. It's a bit controversial there. Or they tip them out in massive volumes and they're perfectly good. That's been in the news a bit lately. I think especially in the UK, they've been doing lots of that. You can send it out to a commercial service who will do a professional, thorough inspection for you. But really, when you think how many dollars profit you make on a typical product, and if there might actually be a problem, a very expensive report to tell you that there was a quality problem is not much help to you. But somebody who might then on-sell them themselves might be quite willing to take them if they're quite discounted, to inspect them themselves and on-sell anything that's good, or relabel it, or fix any problems they find if they're fixable. You can send them to yourself and fix things up yourself. You can liquidate through, liquidation services. They exist. They're not particularly friendly companies. They've got you over a barrel, and they don't really care what the resale value of your product is. They're just going to beat you up a bit and try and get a really low price. And maybe they'll take it, maybe not. You can drop the price initially to break even. That's, not a bad outcome for, say, 1 out of 10 or 20 products. But then you might go below cost and run at a loss just to try and move it and get it moving. You could take the other approach, bump up your advertising and push it harder, try and get more people to see it so it sells through and they go, never again, I'm selling through. When it's gone, it's gone. Or you could muck around with relisting, relaunching. I mean, the list goes on. You could do 2-for-1 deals. You could make it a free gift with something else. All of those things, they definitely cost some time. That's the minimum. They may also cost them quite serious cold hard cash, like inspection services, really expensive, advertising, really expensive. Depends what the problem is. Advertising does not solve most of those problems we looked at on the previous slide. The relisting is just, beating yourself up. If there's a problem with the product, you're just going to get into the same problems again. So you might have fixed the pesticide thing or not. You might try and relist it again. Amazon's kind of watching that stuff. Just gets a bit tricky. So you really want to get to the root of the cause of the problem, fix it, move on. So there might be other reasons you'd sell as well. You might be selling a whole business and you want to tidy up your account a bit. You might have some average products amongst a really strong brand. You're selling the business to Thrasio or someone, and you want to just flick off for upfront cash some of the stock that's not helping your valuation because it's not making much profit. But actually, if you sold the inventory as is at cost, you'd take it. It's cash in the pocket. You might have a change of plans. Maybe you suddenly discover you're having a baby, or you've got an offer at work you can't refuse and you really just can't do this Amazon thing as well. Or, some people really do decide Amazon's not for them for whatever reason. There have been days if Amazon's not for me, then the next day it's all been okay again. You might have another product with better margins. You might have something that's making $2 and you've got thousands of units of it sitting in inventory, and you've got another product that makes $10 profit a sale per unit, and you're running out of Amazon inventory space. They've been really tight on that. So it's really precious, that space in the warehouse at Amazon or 3PL. You're paying for it somehow. You're paying for it in cash and opportunity cost of not having a better product in there. So maybe you want to focus on a different product and some cash back from product A to really boost product B's. Good from a financial point of view, but maybe just warehouse space, practical stuff. And so cashing up to back a really star product or to do a big container load order for Q4. If you can sell some average performing stuff at cost or below, that's good for you, good for the person who buys it, and lets you really have a big swing at Q4, which you couldn't do without it. But they're quite costly. All these things that we can do, there's mental bandwidth. There's only so many problems we can solve at once. I'd much rather be putting my time and energy into a promising new product than fixing up cushions that Amazon thinks are pesticides, or dealing with storage space. You're making lots of little calculations there. What's worth it? How much can you ship in? If you are clogging up your storage space with products that don't sell very well, that's not cool. You're paying for storage fees. You're risking your account health metrics. You could even risk your whole account if you've got all sorts of quality issues, especially if they err on safety type issues. The pesticide thing, or some broken glass, or some dodgy packaging, or some missing compliance sticker, that can lose your whole account. And that is a really valuable asset you do not want to lose. And also you've got cash tied up. There's a cost of the capital in that inventory that's sitting around not being sold and not making you a profit. And your business should be working for you. You shouldn't be spending your days solving these grotty problems. You want to just be picking winners and going for it. There is always going to be a little bit of this in any Amazon or any product business anywhere. But there are now a few options to move it on. So what you can do if you find yourself with any of those situations with those products and the solutions we've talked through don't solve any of those problems for you, is to sell the stock for cash. And cash is king in business. If you've got cash tied up in a rubbish product, or a product's just too slow or not profitable enough, you do all that work, it sells, but it's not profitable. You don't want that product in your business. It's slowing you down. It might need your storage space. Maybe you need the cash for another product. So buymysku.com, I'll show you the website in a second, is a website that lets you create a listing and say as much as you can about that product. The more information you share, the better. You might say 50 pairs of socks, issue with labeling, but quality of socks is 100% fine. Here are some reviews of happy customers, little screenshot. There's 100 pairs or whatever, mixed sizes and colors. They just need relabeling. I'll agree not to compete if you want to take over this thing. I'll give you the supply details, the packaging design. And here's the snapshot of the sales over the last 6 months or something. Here's a invoice showing you what I paid for them. So the more evidence you show a potential buyer, the more they will value it and the more people will seriously look at it. You can't kind of fly blind picking a product. You might also put a $1 reserve and hope it goes straight away and just somebody takes away the whole lot. So there's obviously, if it's in an Amazon warehouse and you have to do a removal order, it might take a bit of time for that product to arrive at the seller, because it will always have to be relabeled. You'll always need a new FNSKU barcode, even if it's going to go back into Amazon eventually. If it's sold through a different account, it will always need to be relabeled. So it's always going to have to get sent somewhere. So to make it easy for the seller, what we do is give you a very fixed, quick, easy process to follow to load up that product you want to sell on. It's all online. You upload photos. You can upload any Amazon stats. You can upload photos of any damage, or if it's a good product, you can show the reviews, the things that people want to build on. If there's a quality issue, you need to be really honest about that. We give you some templates of sell and purchase agreement stuff to help manage the process. We aren't a party in the transaction. We just introduce the buyers and the sellers to each other. And your job as a seller is to explain what's going on with your product and why it's for sale. And there might be a bargain hunter who's happy to take it for $1 and fix it up themselves. It might be another new seller wants a quick start. They want to sell in that category on their account, or they want to use it as a learning product. Or it might be a really nice addition to an existing brand. They've got, say, I've got a tea business and I see a bunch of cheap teapots and it's coming up for Q4. Maybe I can do a nice little bundle promotion with some free teapots or something. So the more information you give, the more accurately the market can price your product. So you want to give photos, screenshots, type, details as much as you like. It can actually even copy and paste the Amazon listing into your Buy My SKU listing, so you can see exactly how it's described as sold. And you can put the ACE in, so a potential buyer can go and see exactly what that product looks like on Amazon. So we want everyone to be honest, and the contract's there and the platform's there to introduce you to each other. And we'll give you training and little steps of best practice as you go through loading it up to make sure you get the best chance of selling it and the buyers have a fair and transparent experience buying it. So we've had products that we want to get rid of ourselves as founders of this company. So we decided what we needed was it to be fast and efficient for the seller and make it easy to add as much information about that product as possible, because that's going to help the buyer feel confident to put some money down and take on another project or another product. There's some questions and answers, like an FAQ sheet on the website that I'll bring up in a moment. We've got some templated non-disclosure agreements. I understand, as all of us would, confidentiality is really important in this business. So you don't want to list your product and it's sophiehoward.com's own brand of whatever private label sold on Amazon. It's completely confidential who you are selling until you get through to the sale and purchase agreement. We at Buy My SKU have cited ID or got your address and full name to become a seller, but you don't have that published publicly, and the people browsing your products don't see who you are. We also can offer a completely anonymous service where we even do the whole close of the sale for you, but just have to be honest about that. Then we make the purchase really easy. You can either go through Stripe or PayPal or escrow. Escrow is a bit clunky, but safer for big amounts of money changing hands. PayPal's great. It's really quick. Click, received it, click, clear it, funds released to the seller. So that's a really nice, quick way. I've just bought a few things using PayPal that way, and it's been good. So we offer an anonymous service as well. But it's a very simple platform. It's like an auction. I'll show you a picture of it now. So when you first go to the website, it'll look like this. You can look at products for sale. So these are some of the things that are on there at the moment. We've got 256 red wine decanters, not broken, just somebody wants $15 for them instead of trying to sell them themselves. We've got some little fidget toy things, $4 each. We've got a balance board chair. So this one, $100. The quick bid, $100 buys you the whole shipment of products here. So you would click on the listing as a buyer and go, all right. The buy now is $1,500. Or you can make an offer. There's 3 people watching it. It's got 10 days left to run. This must be a new one. We do have a feedback system on the sellers and on the buyers. So with this, you get 100 units. It's the stock. The good thing is everyone's always got really good photos of their products by this stage. So it's the photos of the products there. So as a buyer, you would get the stock and the listing. So you'd be able to copy and paste the listing, the title, the keywords, the images, the infographics. The The reviews also stay with the products as well. So that's important. If you've got a listing with great reviews, you would want to just keep that listing, you know, relist that ASIN on your own account. If it's got bad reviews because of a problem that you then fix, you would then obviously start a new listing to have a clean slate with your new quality fixed up product. So this one's got 4.2 stars, less than a year old, made over 7,700 revenue, gross margin percentage 29%. So you can then contact the seller directly and have some private messaging or public messaging on this platform, up to you, however you want to do it. And see all the numbers and maybe have a walkthrough video of the account or whatever, just to have a bit more confidence in what you're seeing. Some of these will have a trademark. If there's a product on here with a trademark, this is like gold for another Amazon seller who's trying to get brand registry. It's a really powerful thing. So some people have a trademark. They've discontinued the product. The trademark on a product is worth a lot if you can pick that up and add it to your Amazon account and put some other products with that brand. Patents, brand registered, supplier relationship would normally be included, and normally the seller would agree not to compete. So part of our standard template agreement for the sale and purchase that we give you would suggest that as the buyer, you get sole rights to keep selling this product and the seller will not sell it anymore. Otherwise, that's not very fair. And that's it. And they might put a selling reason, focus on other brands and products. And so that's kind of how it looks. So we've put them in categories, sort of along the lines of how Amazon does categories. You can sell your SKU, you just go and it steps you through. It takes 5 minutes. It's copying and pasting text and deciding what reserve or buy now price you want to put on. And then it goes live. So it's pretty simple. It's really simple. There's not even any point demoing how to load a listing. It's just copying and pasting your title and image.
All right, very interesting. And of course, very important to know what is the pricing. Does it cost anything for the sellers and for the buyers? What is the cost?
$1 million question. So it's free to open an account as a buyer or a seller. When you create the listing, we really think this is a service for the sellers. So you're the ones that pay, but we've made it very affordable. So if you just head over to the pricing page on buymysku.com, you'll see a tab at the top, you know, the standard list of FAQs, my account. There's one there, pricing. So just have a look on that. We might be running specials from time to time, but we keep it really low, really fair. And there's no other fee. So there's no commission when the product sells. There's no sort of success fee or anything else later down the track. And also that listing is good for as long as you want to leave it there for, whether if it sells straight away, great, you're done. If it takes 6 months to sell or a year, you can just leave it sitting there. We might contact you one day eventually, but it's basically an evergreen listing. So one price once.
Actually, I wanted to ask, is this platform for US-based products, or how does it work?
We're open to anyone from anywhere in the world listing their product, but as long as that's clear in the description where the product's located. It might be that I'm in New Zealand and somebody else wants to buy it. Say it's at my house in New Zealand, it's never made it to the States. Somebody else in New Zealand might want to buy it. So we take care of finding the buyers. You know, it's liquidators and other Amazon sellers. There's all the retail arbitrage and online arbitrage people, the people that sell on eBay, the people that sell at farmers markets. There's a bunch of people there who just love to get hold of cheap stuff to sell. So it's not necessarily all cheap, but yeah, as long as it's clear where the product's located, somebody might turn up with a truck to your garage. Somebody might take over the paperwork at customs and clear it and move it on. Like maybe you've got stuck with a tangle there, for example, and they've got experience. 3 forms later, they've just got themselves a container load of bargains because you were stuck and they could solve it. So it's just this sort of arbitrage of who wants what.
So it's between the buyer and seller to kind of decide how they do the transaction and the shipping.
Yeah, I'd say 90-something% is bound to be US stock, I would imagine. But it could be, say you've had a big shipment manufactured at a factory in China. You shipped the first third by air. You didn't have enough inventory space to ship the lot. And you were going to do a follow-up bigger shipment by sea. The product flops or shipping costs triple or something happens and it's still at the factory in China. You could still list it there and someone else can buy it from you online and take control of it in China and sort out the rest of its journey. So there's, you know, as long as it's clear where it's at, you know, then you can do a clear agreement where it's at. It's actually easiest if it's not already in Amazon. It's better if it's in a 3PL or with a shipping company or somewhere still in transit. It's a bit easier than getting all those removal order boxes out of Amazon. But as a seller, that's not your problem. That's, you show, maybe you do a little video recording of finalizing the full removal order to show that it's been requested, and they'll dribble on in for weeks. And then the buyer will click to say when it's all been received, and then the money clears. So there's no commission. So this would be the obvious business model for a thing like this. We want huge volumes going through our business and taking commission on huge quantities of valuable products. But actually, we just want this to be a really fast and simple service for the sellers. So it's a flat rate, $97 to list a product, including any variations, if it's got parent and children things or variations, like $97 for a listing. And you just pay that on your credit card up front as you create the listing. There's a few things, you can put it to the top of the page or highlight it, or a bit like on eBay, I guess, you can promote your listing. What I'll do is just think of some of the most common things that people want to know about this. So no commission, you can be anonymous, very cheap to list, no ongoing costs, and an evergreen listing, you just let it run for as long as you want. Restrictions on products, I can't remember what we said for this answer, but pretty much any category, as long as it's allowed on Amazon. So I think, what's that what we said? Oh yeah, nothing illegal or unsafe. And any adult products we can't put photos on. No sales tax, collecting payments, escrow or PayPal or a credit card, but we let you negotiate that. We show you some best practice stuff for that. How do you sell? You load up your listing. You open an account. We don't need passports and things, but we do need to know your name and address, an email address, and then we send a link to your email, just the standard practice. And then you click on that, and then you're away. And you could have your product listed 5 minutes later. We'd rather you sell all your products as one lot, otherwise all the listings get messy. But if you sell half, say you've got 1,000 and someone says, well, I'll buy 100. And if it goes well and you haven't sold the other 900, I'll come back and buy them later. You would have to close that listing. I mean, it's a flat fee, so you would just pay another $19 if you're quick and list the next 900 and see if the other person comes back for more or not, or someone else gets them. If they don't sell, you can leave the listing there. I mean, if there's something wrong with the product, we don't want you selling junk on here. It's not for that. It's to give other sellers something to sell. So if it's not sellable, a smart buyer is not going to come along and buy it. It needs to be a known fixable problem, or not suitable for Amazon FBA, say, but would be suitable for online arbitrage or a bulk lot on eBay or farmer's market, or maybe a gift shop sees and goes, that's a beautiful product. I could sell 50 of those in my next spring season. I'll just stick them in the warehouse that I own until then. Everybody's economics and situation's different. So we'll bring in lots of buyers to look at these. There's ones that have already sold the second they went up, not the second, but we've had ones already sell. The buyer was happy, the seller was happy, the money changed hands, the product changed hands, job done. It's a really neat, quick exchange. You can ask the seller questions privately or in the public Q&A section. Depends what you want, but usually the more transparent the discussion is, the better. So there's websites like flipper.com where people sell websites. On there, there's the option to do kind of public Q&A and also a private contact the seller privately. So that's all fine. But if it's, say, a screenshot of Google Analytics, everybody should be able to see that because it's going to help more people feel confident buying if it was a Google Analytics type product. For the quality, you might need to do some due diligence. We give you a bit of training and a checklist for that as a buyer. This is sort of questions for the buyer side. And then in general, prices are all in US, unless somebody says otherwise, but our website runs in US. And the shipping and delivery, you need to negotiate that. Normally the buyer pays for shipping, but you could agree to have it, or the seller says, look, I'll just pay to get rid of it now, and off they go. So up to you to work that out. But generally the buyer pays for the shipping. You can list the products from any country and buy from any country, as Augustus just asked, but you just need to be really clear. The stock's currently in Germany or whatever. That's going to be a bit of a surprise if someone buys it in the States and thinks it's down the road and it's on the other side of the world. We have nothing to do with Amazon. That's what I wanted to cover today. Buy my SKU. So if you've got products that are not doing what you dreamed of, or you dream of having more cash in the bank, then this could be a place to have a look at moving them on, getting some some buyer who sees something in it that you've missed. Maybe they're a whiz marketer and they reckon that, they could sell it for $50 if they just did a better copywriting job or better photography. There's people with different talents will see things with your product. But maybe you just want to walk away and have some cash. So that's the value we bring to the sellers, and then the buyers get, great experience of shopping for products where there's some proven data, a supply chain already in place, the packaging's done, the branding, the shipping's been done. There's a lot of stuff proven by the time something's made it into the Amazon warehouse and then it's for sale again. So could be a shortcut for a new seller to just get going quickly and just learn the ropes on 50 units of something. So there we go.
And do you see one seller using this platform multiple times? I see that you had the review system for each seller, but is it happening often that the seller would be using your platform regularly?
I think so. There's it could even be selling off some spare samples or something that for somebody else that lets them do a test run with a new listing. So it could be a seller orders, they might start 20 new products over a year, and every year there's one or two that they don't want to keep for whatever reason. Or maybe Halloween's been and gone. They don't want to sit on that stock for 11 and a half more months. They'd rather just take $1 a piece tomorrow and it's gone. And then at Christmas, maybe there's some Christmassy stuff they sell. There's reasons people just want stuff gone once they've done what they intended to do. So certainly we want anybody who's been a good seller to be recognized by the buyers that they were a great seller. The product was as described, there were no hitches, everything worked smoothly. In which case the buyer leaves feedback on the seller. The seller also leaves feedback on the buyer. And that helps us build a platform where there's more trust. And apparently, according to Amazon, this review thing's quite important. So we're taking a leaf out of their book and trying to build trust through a robust review system. And we will kick anyone off who messes with our reviews.
Yeah, review is one thing, but of course people will have to get trust in the payments. So you mentioned that there is escrow. Is it kind of connected with your platform? Because I would definitely use escrow.
Yeah, I would use escrow for, say, over a couple of $1,000s. It's pretty slow. I've just bought a business through escrow. It took forever. So under, say, $1,000 or two, I would use PayPal. And over that, I would go to escrow, where it's just a bit more of a, big infrastructure system around you to secure both sides. But the PayPal one's actually pretty straightforward to use and works well up to a level. It's not our own escrow service. So like Empire Flippers has its own escrow account, and Flipper has its own escrow account with escrow.com. We would just direct you to escrow.com, create your own accounts, agree who's going to pay the commission, usually 50-50. Shipping, usually the buyer, usually the seller. Everything's always negotiable, as everything is in business. So we give you some best practice guidelines to step you through it, and some little training videos as you go through. And then, the better your product and the more detail you put in, the better a price you'll get. Perfect.
Thank you very much, Sophie. And finally, of course, if people need help, I see on the website there is a email address, hello@buymysku.com. This is how people can get support, right?
Yep, hello@buymysku.com. We'd also love any feedback, as a user and someone who's paying attention to what works on Amazon and interested in business, or have an idea or some suggestions or feedback. We'd love to hear them. We've built this as we would want to use it, and we're using it ourselves. The feedback so far has been really good, but if you think of anything, I'd love to hear from you. Just get in touch.
Great. Thank you very much, and good luck in your business. Bye-bye.
Brilliant. Thanks, Augustus. Bye.
Below this video, you will find the link to buymysku.com. You're welcome to visit and use it. And now I would like to invite you to watch other very popular video on our channel with Sophie Howard, where she is sharing her tips how to do sourcing of your products outside China.